Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Bindiya Miss, very good morning. Hello, Bindiya Miss.
Good morning, everyone. We're having some technical issues and we'll be back in 5 minutes. And we'll start the session as soon as Dr. Bindiya joined the session.
Hello, Dr. Bindiya. Good morning. Hello, Dr. Bindiya. Good morning. So just sir, please contact Dr. Bindiya for the technical issue.
Okay, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am,
Now
you're
you are
audible.
also audible. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Sure.
Shall we start? Okay, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the last day of 1 week International Online Faculty Development Program on Recent Trends and Advancements in Information Technology, organized by Department of Computer Applications, FISAT. We are moving on to the first session for the day on empowering the academia in the wake of avant-garde. To handle this enlightening session, we have with us Dr. Bindiya M Varghese, Dean, Computer Science Department, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, Kochi. Dr. Bindiya holds a doctorate in computer science from Faculty of Technology, Cochin University of Science and Technology. She has more than 16 years of postgraduate teaching experience and has published many research papers in journals and proceedings of international repute. She acts as a resource person in data mining and as a consultant for various live projects. She and her has initiated R Labs, a conceptualization of live lab for Department of Computer Science. She is now a part of the UK IERI project as a director systems. On behalf of everyone present out here, I welcome Dr. Bindiya M Varghese to the session. Over to you, ma'am. It's all yours.
Thank you. So let me present my. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Let me share my screen first.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Is my screen visible to all
Yes,
of
ma'am.
you? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Shall I start?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So hello everyone. I am Dr. Bindiya here. So you have come to the last day of the webinar series. So having heard all from the most eminent personalities from industry and academia, you must be wondering why an academician like me, just like you, is doing here in the context of emerging technologies. So Federal Institute has been very kind enough to include a teacher like me to speak upon how the educational scenario must empower itself to the changing world outside. So for the next 50 minutes, my scattered thoughts are outlined like this. So I'll start with the current media, the current context of higher education, and I would say the imperfections, not flaws. So there are some limitations to our existing system, and we will further move on to the empowerment mechanisms. So this is something which is not new to you, but I've brought into a single umbrella, a single framework. And finally, I would like to conclude my presentation through the window of an accreditation mood in the general, for the general purpose of an institution. So let me start. Okay. So what does this academia actually? For any society, the embodiment of learning is the most crucial factor. It can destroy or even construct a society. So what is this academia actually? When you say academia or even a higher educational institution, the major stakeholder would definitely be the students. They are the outputs of the system. So, who invested on this higher educational system? When I ask you such a question, normally the answer would be the management. They have invested in the infrastructure, some society, some trust has invested in the society, in the academic institution. But it is not the correct answer. Actually, the parents have invested in our academic system. They have invested their most precious assets, their words to this academia. Along with, they are paying the fees to sustain this higher education. So definitely the parents are the investors. Now, what is this employer doing here? Actually, the original beneficiaries of this academia is the employer who actually reaps the benefits of our hard work. And what is this management doing? Definitely. The management is the one who reinforces the entire system. They actually put the policies, they actually put the procedures and set up a work culture for all of us. And the key role is being played by the faculty. Why? Because faculty is the one who actually deals with the student, who is the one dealing with the employer, who is the one dealing with the parents, and definitely getting instruction from the management. So the primary key role, the implementers, the actual executioners are definitely the faculty. So how does this academic works? So an ideal system, as I said earlier, it will always be the product that defines the company. So the better the product, the better the future of the company. The employers, definitely based on their experience recruiting the alumni of that institution, would want more or will not take or will not recruit more. So based on the experience, they might have, however, how better the students are, they definitely would recruit more. And based on their experience, naturally the placement records would go high. Based on the placement records, our accreditations, our rankings, our ratings would go high. Then parents will seek more and more admissions here. As and when the parents seek admissions, the management gets a high demand ratio. They naturally will facilitate with more infrastructure, and they definitely will invest on the faculty. The faculty plays a key role, and they are the ones who have to be empowered the most. So this is how the academics actually works. Hope you know that many of the colleges have been shut down these past years. Why? Because this entire circle didn't work well. Now, who is the best teacher here? A teacher, naturally, as per UGC, is the one who teaches. I would like to remove that word teacher, teaching there, and I would like to call it as facilitator, the one who facilitates the entire process. Because Google is there, all other information is right before their screen. So why do they need a teacher to speak like a radio? If only the teacher is good enough to direct them, if it's good enough to facilitate them, she or he becomes a good facilitator. And according to the UGC new pay commission, a researcher, a good publisher is also a part of teaching. So basically a teacher is a facilitator and a good researcher. And above all, what we actually forget is we need to be a good learner too. We have to upgrade ourselves. So an ideal teacher would be the best combination of facilitator, researcher, and learner. So let's look into the timeline of teaching. Before 2000s or even earlier days, teaching was considered to be a very noble profession, very stressless profession, and a very stable job. That was before, that is actually history now. We concentrated on the conceptual learning, the chalk and board learning. In 2010, with the new pay commissions, UGC emphasized the importance of research in teaching. But then teachers started publishing, but as and when more and more predatory journals came, in 2030, they insisted on high quality publications, SCI indexed publication, ABDC category journal publications, funded projects. So again, the pressure is building up. In 2016 onwards, the importance of ranking, accreditation, rating. So everything is now upon the shoulder of our teachers. In 2020, something new, something unexpected came, that is COVID. Now we have to have blended teaching. Earlier we used to teach blank faces. Now we are going to teach blank screens. We are not sure somebody is listening out there or not. Now, what is this blended teaching? Blended teaching may be hardly 40 or 50 minutes of delivery, but that is actually a tip of iceberg. When you have to deliver 50 minutes of online teaching, whatever hard work is going beyond is beyond words. You have to have asynchronous, synchronous teaching, video shoots, material preparations. So what students and parents see is actually a 40-minute delivery. So again, the pressure is upon teachers. So having said this, the cherry on top is, as and when this webinar is happening, we had our new educational policy approved by Central Government of India. So this is our technical education before NEP. The technical education was like a school structure starting from kindergarten We had the 10+2 system, and after plus 2, they actually diverted themselves for skilled labor and professional labor. After graduation, many of them chose to be in the workforce, and if they proceed further to PhD, then more and more focus was on research. This was before NEP 2020. Now, what is this national education policy? In a gist, it gives the maximum flexibility to the students. The flexibility with the streams. If I'm a computer science graduate, I would like to take a credit on home science. So this is the combination that I can choose. I can have all the credits. I can have some paramedical courses along with that. So the maximum flexibility is given to the students. Also, the most high performing institutes will be given academic freedom. So again, the accreditations and assessment is getting more significant role there. Now, the aim is of course good for NEP 2020, but the careful implementation is what matters. But that is something in the future that we have to look forward. Now we are coming, as I have said, the outset of academia, we need to really look into the imperfections, limitations of our existing system. So definitely I would like to start with the most infamous term, the industry academia gap. This is one thing. The very moment the graduate moves out of our system and they come back and tell, ma'am, this is not what you need to teach. This is what is required in the industry. Industry people say that the curriculum is obsolete. So what is this? This is actually a push and pull game between academics and industry. Industry wants the at most professional graduate who can be directly employable, who is adept to the most recent technology to be recruited. They consider the time to train a candidate for the requirement as a loss. When academics say that you are unrealistically expecting something from our graduates, we need time to adapt to the rapid changes. We have the university regulations, we have the curriculum revisions, we have to have the approval from the board of studies, lots and lots of paperwork here. So how this push and pull game is happening between academics and industry. So what does industry really expect? They want a highly directly employable production machines which can learn, which can adapt to the latest industry standards. They want graduates to apply their knowledge, the graduates to have high problem solving skills, the graduates to have high management skills. They want they want the students to deal with the people, they want the students to communicate better, they want a self-disciplined, positive work attitude graduates. So what is happening with our graduates then? The last two one, dealing with the people and self-discipline and positive work attitude. Usually what higher education institution does is, we always recruit external agencies to work on graduates' attitude and aptitude. Okay, well and good, fine. What happens the first two? The latest industry standards and most importantly, applied knowledge. What happens to both of these factors? That is definitely the role and responsibility of the faculty. Now, what is actually stopping this faculty from this emerging technology? We have to be very open-minded. The first thing is that we have a complacency to learn new things, to change. So we have developed, a certain kind of comfort zone from which we don't want to go out. The teacher sitting across me would have to answer this yourself. Are you comfortable if you're assigned with a new subject to teach? Do you still keep the same notes from your graduation to teach the students? Are you reluctant to take an online course which has assignments and exams to pass? Do you have a feel that your time is wasted on non-teaching activities like accreditations and all? Do you lack the industry exposure? Do you feel so pressurized about the student evaluation, the new academic performance indicators? And do you feel comfortable with revising the curriculum? Because many a times I have heard this term, when you revise the curriculum, they say that, see, you don't be so enthusiastic about revising the curriculum. After all, these have to be taught by us only. See, these are the limitations we teachers also have. We have to definitely admit that. Now, what about industry? Can they just wash off their hands from this industry academia gap? No. Definitely, they have to involve in this academic process. Now, are they giving back to the industry? Because they are the real beneficiaries of our academic process. So, are they really investing? When I say investing, it is not always the money that I'm talking about, it is time. Are they giving time to the graduates? Do they interact with the graduates? Are they open for internship? Are they open for field work? So if they are, then well and good. But if they are not, and they just want the graduates to come and do the job for them, it is quite a mishap, because they have to really invest upon academia. Are they ready to have funded collaborative research which can actually help them to evolve? So they have to really invest in the youth. So if these are the limitations from both academia and industry, what happens with the empowerment? How should we empower the entire system? There should be a structured framework. There are 4 dimensions we need to empower. We need to empower the faculty. We need to empower the students. The industry has to be empowered to empower us. And finally, the institution as a whole has a much bigger role. Let's see. I would like you all to do an exercise. If you have a notebook, try to plot your skill set. At the time of graduation, you might have a skill set. Okay, at the time of my graduation, I think Visual Basic was the latest skill. We usually did our projects in Visual Basic. Now, Visual Basic is nowhere heard in 2020, but that was the skill set. So the next year, did I learn something? If not, then you can just continue in the same line. But you can see that the blue dots represents the required skills of that particular year. I have plotted it as an exponential growth, but it might be more than an exponential growth. So what happened is I didn't learn anything in the next year. Again, in the next year, I didn't learn anything. Okay, after 4th year, I acquired some knowledge in particular language or maybe in a new technology. Okay, I have just moved up. So finally in 2020, what is my skill set and what is the required skill set? Is there a huge gap between that? Then you have to ask yourself, are you eligible to teach the graduates of 2020? If not, definitely something is wrong there. So how to empower the faculty? I've basically put 4 major themes here. The first one definitely would be the upskilling. How to upskill the faculty? The faculty has to mandatorily, voluntarily take measures for upskilling. Expand your capabilities. Learn a technology new year, every year. The second step to be change your pedagogy. Do you still give assignments to students like explain the concept, define, what do you mean by, are your write a short note on? Then definitely it's time to change your question pattern. Give challenging questions. At least 30% of your question paper, 30% of your assignments should be on applied knowledge. I'm quite sure that if one of the students in your batch is quite a challenging one and ask you an unprecedented question to you, definitely I'm quite sure that you will be doubly prepared when you go to the same class the very next day. If a particular student can challenge you, then why the teacher cannot challenge the student group? So don't blame it on the student quality. Because I've been hearing a lot from, see, our students doesn't have that kind of intake quality. See, those students have come through the eligibility criteria that has been set up for that particular graduation. Okay, now they have paid the fees irrespective of their quality. Okay, then we as teachers have the obligation not to comment the student quality, because you know Milma, like Milma, the Milk Corporation Society of Kerala, they receive milk of different quality from different outlets. But when they give the output as milk packets, what they do is they standardize, they pasteurize, they homogenize, and what we get is a uniform set of products. They cannot blame it on the quality of milk. Similarly, we cannot blame it on the quality of students. We have to change our pedagogy. It is high time that we change our pedagogy. Now, what about industry exposure? Many of you might not have the industry exposure. Then how to attain it? We cannot just go and work there for 1 year and come back. No, it is not possible. But definitely we can do one thing. We can have high interactions with them. We can take just few modules from them. We can just get outsourced from them. We as a team, maybe we may not be confident enough to take it as a single project. What we can do is we can collaborate. The department can take up a project, take some few modules from outside, do it, take up maximum consultancies possible. So evolve ourselves. That is what we need to do to have that industry exposure. We need to talk their language. When we say dissertation, they say deliverables. So are we in the same wavelength? Are the industry and teachers are in the same wavelength? This is something you have to definitely ponder upon. And finally, funded projects and research. See, there are lots of funding agencies available. You have to definitely take up projects. Maybe you can start with minor research projects, then major research project, and you have to focus on one single area where you can definitely apply whatever knowledge that you have. So when you want to teach the students, you must have the knowledge of applying it yourself. So these are the four major key areas of any teacher to upscale themselves. Now, what about empowering the student? A student is like a bud. When it leaves out of higher educational institution, it has to be a tree with full-fledged grown branches. So the different branches that we need to develop in a student are, first thing, he must be able to understand the concept. He must be able to apply the concept. He must be able to analyze the situation. He must be able to develop something out of it. And finally, the peak is he himself should be an innovator. Most of the time, 90% of the time, what happens with a graduate is he is stuck on the first branch, that is understand. Because the question paper that he has answered, the marks he has got is all about understanding the concept. It is all about the memory. Okay, if that particular person is prone to more and more practical sections, then he must have some knowledge of applying the concepts that he has learned. Okay, understand and apply. What about the rest of the three branches? Developing, analyzing, and innovations. How many of our higher educational institutions are concentrating on the three upper branches? If you the most common answer, common complaints that we receive from the teachers are, see, there are set of students who are acquiring, they are not focused, they are not acquiring for that kind of innovation. Let it be, let it happen. Like whatever you see, the students may be of different quality. Even if one among the batch becomes an innovator, that is a success story. After that, many will follow. So make sure that you develop all the branches in a student. Whether it be successful or not, that is not a matter, but you have to you have to really work for developing those branches in that tree. Now, what about industry, the third component? Industry they have to really open up. They have to really give our graduates the possibilities of internship. They have to really make them aware of the language the language they talk, the coding standards, whatever the rapid changes are happening in the industry, they have to let the graduates know about it. Internship is the only window that can make it happen. Then, like TCS, Eon, online learning platforms, they can develop online learning platforms as well. Our students, we can direct them to these online learning platforms. Third thing is industry interactions. Whenever we ask for the people to come and talk to them, very rarely we get people from industry. They need to come and interact with the students. They need to talk about the latest happenings. They need to outsource some of their basic modules to the student community. They have to trust the student community. That is one thing that they can do to the graduates, their future employees. And finally, they have to invest some time for the teachers also. They have to be part of our curriculum design. They have to collaborate in our academic process. So these are the four areas in which industry have to focus upon. Now, finally, when I come to the institutional level, when I come to the institutional level, I'm just detouring it slightly to the accreditations and rankings. See, each and every agency outside us is ranking us, is rating us. The Outlook, Times of India, see any external agencies other than NAAC, NBA, and NIRF by Central Government of India, everybody is ranking us. So how to look through that window, through the accreditation? First, I would like to look upon NAAC. NAAC has got 7 criteria to assess and accredit an institution. It starts with curriculum design and implementation. The second and the most important is teaching learning, which carries the most weightage. Third is the research and consultancy. Fourth is infrastructure. Fifth is student progression and alumni. In student progression, they really ask for the placement data and the higher studies data. Sixth is the good governance. And seventh is the best practices the institution has adopted. So basically, all these criteria look through whatever we have described right now. But I would definitely focus on teaching and learning and research and consultancies. Teaching and learning carries 300 weightage out of 1000 and research carries 150. It may be different for affiliated colleges and autonomous colleges and definitely for university, but the weightage is high for teaching and learning. Infrastructure has got less weightage, even the governance has got less weightage. So the most important according to NAAC is always the teaching and learning and research. Now what about NIRF? NIRF ranks us based on 5 criterions. The first one, again, it is teaching and learning. The second one would be research and professional practice. Third is graduation outcomes. Here again, the higher studies data, the placement data, the mean salary, the median salary becomes important. Fourth one is outreach and inclusivity. Fifth one, which is out of our scope, that is peer perception. So the first 4, again, when you look into those 4 categories, you can see that teaching and learning and research and professional practice gets the maximum weightage. Now let's see NBA, National Board of Accreditation. It starts with the vision and mission and setting out the program educational objectives. Then it goes for the curriculum and teaching learning process. Third is much more important here, where they focus on outcome-based education or assurance of learning, AOL. The course outcomes, program-specific outcomes, this is what they look for. Finally, they look for the program outcome attainment. How do the students perform? Finally, faculty information and contributions, which definitely includes the funded research and the quality publications. Fourth, last one is facilities and technical supports, which is actually the infrastructure that we have. Now, when you look through all these three, NBA, NAAC, and NIRF, you can see that the essence, the gist is basically on teaching and learning, research and consultancy, and student progression. Finally, the output, the product matters, the pedagogy matters, our quality publications matters. So whatever we have described now, whatever we have discussed now comes under these three major umbrellas: teaching and learning, research and consultancy, student progression. Now, I would like to finally formulate it under a single framework. The first one is we will start from curriculum design and implementation. When you design, when you develop a curriculum, definitely involve industrial persons for the process. You have to consult them before you um, decide upon the courses for the final semesters. Definitely the first semesters would be on core papers, but the last semesters concentrate on what technology is right now, what industry wants, what are the coding standards, involve everything in your curriculum design. But there is a hitch there. Will the university agree to that kind of design change? If not, go for non-credit courses. The college can design their own course, a short-term course, a 6-month course, a 3-month course, in which they can equip the graduates with the recent technologies. You don't have to ask the university for that, just give them non-credit courses. Encourage the students for internship. All of them, all the students have to be part of internship. In NAAC, the first question, in criterion 1, there is a question: how many of your students have taken up field work and internship? And if it is 100%, well and good for you. Fourth one is revised Bloom's taxonomy. See, the Bloom's taxonomy itself changed. Now it is all apply, implement, design. Earlier it was understand, but now it is all application. So you have to change your pedagogy according to the revised Bloom's taxonomy. When you design your course outcome, always start the statement like this: to apply, to implement. Naturally, the questions that you put for your assignments will be application, implementation. This is how we change our teaching pedagogy. Second would be upskilling of the faculty. The management has to specifically focus on upskilling the faculty. Criterion 6 in NAAC asks specifically for the funds given to the faculty for their professional membership, for their professional upgradation. The college have to mandatorily invest upon faculty. They have to have continuous upgradations. They have to have a flexible consultancy policy, a shared policy. They have to have funded research, and they need to potentially interact with all possible employers outside. Even not the possible employers, even with the peer academia. We have to keep in touch with the peer academia as well as the industry. Third would be upgrading the employability index of the students. How? This is what we need. From this very start, we have been talking about upgrading the employability index. Definitely the capacity building. How to build their capacity. That aptitude and attitude is already taken care of. What about the exposure to the workplace? We said we should encourage them to have interaction with the industry. They have to adopt the industry standard. When you give a C lab, I'm just quoting an example here. When you do a lab, when you make them do a lab, adopt the coding standards. From the very first day, ask them to adopt the industry coding standards. They have to take up real world projects. Ask them to automate anything they find, their mother's boutique, the next door pharmacy, anything. Do it freely. Let them do real world projects. Then you take up small modules from industry. The industry is ready to give us the modules because they find it cheap and cost effective. And finally, you have to create the spark of innovation to the students. See, until and unless we create that spark, the graduates will never become an entrepreneur. Finally, when you talk about the institution, whatever we have discussed here actually increases the score of accreditation and the ranking. Naturally, the institution has to have a very flexible policy towards faculty. They need to strongly focus on faculty empowerment. They need to have an open research policy, an incentive based policy. They need to have a consultancy, a shared consultancy policy that the teachers can adopt. So, this is how the whole environment of the institutions is made better. And finally, I conclude, see, whatever I have said is nothing new. It is all known to you. What I have made is, I have brought everything under a single framework. We have to be really open-minded. I have just jotted down those points. Take whatever is needed. You may avoid if you disagree, but you know, everything around changes in 2020. When COVID hit, we suddenly became news anchors. There is a new possibility of teaching, online teaching. So we adopted to whatever change that we had to. Naturally, we can adopt whatever I have said here. Thank you again. And I think it's open for discussion.
Thank you, ma'am. Now it's time for the queries. The participants can post their queries to the chat box.
Shall I have a query?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Uh, I first of all appreciate the good presentation by Dr. Bindiya. You have been doing it wonderfully well. I especially congratulate you.
Thank you, sir.
A couple of points I have to raise. Number one is you have elaborately explained the duties and responsibilities of a teacher as a facilitator, etc., etc. But I think one point you have missed out. A teacher always has to be a mentor. The mentorship factor is very much missing nowadays. These days the students are under too much pressure of various kinds. So unless and until a teacher is a good mentor, the student, if he or she takes his or her teacher as a friend and a guide and a confidant, then only the real influence will be there for the students. So mentorship is one point that I wanted to mention here. Another thing is regarding the Bloom's taxonomy. You said I think it is not exactly correct. In the revised Bloom's taxonomy, the knowledge levels are not like that. It is creating, understanding, remembering, etc. Not the create, understand, etc. It is present continuous understanding. And the last one, the highest level is sixth stage. It is creating. Maybe in your term it is innovation, but it is actually it is creating. The last highest level is creating. And our aim as a teacher should be for addressing the upper level cognitive levels. Maybe the lower levels they can do, but the upper level only if the teacher is intentionally addressing it. Normally a student will miss out that thing. Only if he or she has equipped all these knowledge level then what you have explained will be achieved. That is what I wanted to mention. And also regarding the NAAC accreditation and NB accreditation and NIRF, the role of teachers is very much crucial rather than the management. I felt that you have said more about the contribution from the management side, but of course, management should be very proactive. But rather than that, every teacher has to be highly committed and motivated, not considering any of the benefits given by the by management, but because of the commitment and dedication, the teacher has to have a very close interaction with the students and in the entire system. Then only the standard will come up, and good researchers will come up, and thereby it will definitely, we don't go for the recognition and all things, it will come along our way. That is what I feel. Thank you so much for your
Yes.
enlightening thoughts.
Yes, sir. I would like to clarify one point towards the end. See, what I meant is, maybe I have misspelled. What I meant is the management has to set the stage, but the real players, the real actors are the teachers. Only if we have the quality publications, they can get the marks. Only if we have the teaching pedagogy, they can list it out. As you clearly mentioned out, the mentoring, one such important aspect which actually I forgot, but that is one area we teachers have to empower. So definitely it is not the management is actually setting up the stage for us. And in the Bloom's taxonomy, I was not planning to exactly quote the Bloom's taxonomy. I just wanted to focus on that innovation part. Probably I would have used the same terminologies used in revised Bloom's taxonomy.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay,
Thank you.
no problem. But your presentation has been excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, we have a query from Ms. Marina Crompton. She's asking, Madam, is it necessary that we should study new technologies related to our curriculum or just out of the box?
It should be beyond curriculum. It should be beyond curriculum. We have to be really one step ahead of the students. They have the latest gadgets, they have the latest informations right before their desk. So why do they need us? Only if only if we are ahead of the Google, only if we can direct them to the right knowledge, they want us. Otherwise they won't listen to us. So definitely what we need to do is, we need to have some kind of technology, whether it be in the curriculum, whether it is not in the curriculum, because curriculum always takes time to get revised. We need to have a curriculum running for at least 2 years to know the real output. Why? Because the once we when we start with the curriculum, it will take the graduates to come out of it at least for 2 years. For a PG program, for a beta program, it takes around 4 years. So we need to see the output of our curriculum design. So don't rely on that curriculum. Just learn whatever new technology that come across you. If you are in the line of that particular, so I wouldn't say, if I'm a data mining person, I would not be interested in something in um, .NET technologies. Probably I would be more interested in Python or MapReduce or Hadoop. So be focused. Definitely be focused, but always go ahead.
One more question is from Ms. Hida Polson. She asks, can you please comment on the quality of assessment done by NIRF? Many complaints are there regarding the ranking strategies of NIRF.
When you look into the NIRF has clear-cut equations to assess us. We can simply calculate our own score based on that NIRF manual. So always it goes for the demand ratio, the number of seats that are filled against the number of sanctioned seats. So there is nothing which we can hide. The number of quality publication, it is not the institution that submits the quality publications, it is the NIRF or central government which takes it from inflict. So it is publicly known. So again, that value is something which we cannot do anything. The only thing which is out of our control is the peer perception. Peer perception, as Hida rightly pointed out, that is something which may really influence. But I think the percentage or the weightage for peer perception is really low. It is actually high for teaching, learning, and the research output. And the placements, the median salary, we cannot bluff because they will definitely ask for the original proof of the offer letters with salary mentioned. So whatever they ask for the proof, definitely we have to give. The DV will scrutinize it and then will come up with the score.
Okay, ma'am. I think we have covered all the queries. Now I'm taking this opportunity to thank Dr. Bindiya. That was really an enlightening session, ma'am. During the last 8 sessions for the last 4 days, we were all thinking about the new technologies and marking the points of the informations to our brains actually. But today it was something very close to us. We have got some time to think about ourselves, to think about how skilled we are and how we should review and revise ourselves for the betterment of the students and the institution and thereby the society as well. And this is what only a true teacher can do. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I would like to thank all the participants for joining us, and we'll start the second session at sharp 2 p.m. Thank you.